I'm working through the fear of giving up the illusion of a separate self and how that works moving forward. Seems that life is lived from a knowing and not the mind. And having moments where I understand that my will and thy will are not separate. That Danny is an illusion and that there has only ever been one will. But still having a veil that brings me back into Danny. Any suggestions on the best way to dissolve or come into the right relationship with these fears would be awesome. First of all, thank you for the deep question. I love these kinds of juicy things because this is really the meaning of life. This is like really knowing yourself, really knowing who you are. And it can be very difficult because as we start to transcend and ascend through all of these limiting beliefs and all of these ideations about what society tells us and what our environment is telling us, we're always, not always, but we are reprogramming ourselves if we're on the ascension journey, if we're awakening to our inner wisdom. Now, we came here to have a human experience, and I think this is the rub that you're feeling. But I want to go specifically to thy will versus my will, and that they are not separate. You are right, they are not separate. But we have the mind, and the mind allows us to play with ourselves in the sense that we set up all these obstacles. Because if we had come in and we just said, I'm just going to be light and love and just the most enlightened master on the planet, then what is there to do other than just sit in bliss and love and just be bright? Which there's nothing wrong with that. We have ascended masters on the planet that have done this and have demonstrated this for us. But that's not what you set up for. So you came in, as you know, with a soul contract. You came in with certain points on your journey that you were going to have to work through, if you will. And how you work through them is your will. The touch points of which you reach on the journey are thy will, because they're part of the soul contract. So they actually are preset ideas about these milestones, if you will, that you're going to reach and you're going to hit, that are going to open up new doors, right? So I don't know why this comes to mind, but you remember those little Russian dolls, like where you open up the big one and then you go to the smaller one, and you go smaller, right? So it's kind of like that, but almost like the opposite, where you start out small, thinking that you're a body and thinking that you're Danny, and then you start, oh gosh, there's more to me. There's more to me. There's more to me. Wow, I am part of everything. And so those junctures of taking off a whole nother level of yourself are really thy will moments. And when we're really in this energy, we know that time doesn't exist. It's only in the mind that we think that we are on this timeline. So I'm not suggesting that when I say milestones, that there is a specific time that you've set forth that you're going to reach it, because the beauty is that your will, when you say my will, is the navigation of how you're going to get to each one of those points. And that's the fun. But a lot of times we don't make it fun because it hurts, it stinks, it sucks. But if stuff doesn't hurt, stink, or suck, then we don't pay attention. And so we intentionally create these situations where we're sometimes having to fall to our knees, right? Like really put ourselves like in the depth of despair so that we pay attention. And that's the way that we start changing behaviors, unless we give up and we just don't change the behavior. Well, if we do that, I know this isn't your situation, but if you do that and you totally give up and you're just like, to hell with it, I'm not doing this anymore. And let's just say it's alcohol, and you're just like, I'm just going to be an alcoholic and I'm just going to drink myself to death and I'm just going to leave it at that. You can do that. That is still your will. What happens is when you pass and you recycle yourself and you come back, you start over with where you left off in that previous life. So you have to do all of the lessons no matter which lifetime you're in. So I like to encourage people, which is why this is called Awaken Inner Wisdom, Why not do it in this lifetime? Why not get to the ascended states that you came here to experience so that you could be in a more Jesus-like state, Buddha-like state, Yogananda-like state, Dalai Lama-like state, where you've broken through all of these constructs. It's a tough job, I get it. We're all on the journey. Some don't know they're on the journey. Some know they're on the journey and they're struggling. Others are on the journey and they've broken through to that place where they're just like, yes, I'm here. I still have more to learn, but I'm here and I'm happy, and bring it on. Show me what I came to learn. Show me what I came to embody. Because I think the struggle is also in between that intellectual understanding of things versus the embodiment of concepts, the embodiment of enlightenment. That is ultimately thy will, is to know oneself in the highest, most expanded state of consciousness, which brings us all to oneness. And while we may not experience that in this lifetime, I don't want to put anything out there. I mean, anything's possible. But this has been circulating for ever and ever and ever, right? This experience, this human experience of being here in a body and knowing oneself and awakening to oneself, and then to a certain level and coming back and coming back and coming back. And oftentimes it takes lifetimes. So we see what someone would go, how did they just get enlightened? They've probably done this lifetime thing many lifetimes. So I want to make sure that I've got this. Seems like life is lived from a knowing and not the mind. Yes. And so that is that deeper place of sensing and feeling, but it requires you to be in your body to feel the receptors, to feel the feels. And most people are operating from here up, right? They're operating from their mind because that's what they're taught to do. It's what society teaches us to do. That's what our external environment teaches us to do, is, oh, that's happening to me. Versus really going in and saying, I called this experience in for a reason. What is it? How do I feel about it? And transforming the feelings within so that then what's happening in the external world changes too. And that is the challenging part. And then you mentioned about having a veil that brings me back into Danny. So yes, we ascend to these levels and then boom, the mortgage payment comes and you're like, dang it, I don't have enough money for that. Like, shit's getting real right now. So that is still the human experience that you've called in to have. And you want that. You want to be gauged back to this reality because you're living here on planet Earth. You're not in the celestial realms. Well, you are in a multidimensional way, but you're here and you chose to be here at this point in time. And so really stay focused on, thank you for showing me. Thank you for allowing me to feel ascended. And then when you're not feeling ascended, thank you for showing me my humanness. Thank you for showing me the programs. Thank you for showing me the emotions. Thank you for showing me at a cellular level where I'm at with my own awakening and embodiment. Anything other than gratitude and surrender is fighting it. And I know you know that. So let's just all stop fighting it. Why are we fighting the ascension? And really feeling into it and asking for support, asking for help, and asking from our own source intelligence help, which, if you don't know by now, one of the reasons why I wear the crown is symbolic. It's symbolic. Yes, it's about being in our kingdoms and our queendoms, but it's also about channeling our own inner wisdom. And we can do that, especially when we have our crown chakras open. So that is the journey, isn't it? To awaken inner wisdom. I so appreciate all the questions that you ask and submit each week. You can always go to bethbell.me/question and submit them in advance. You can put them live in the comments section. I always love to receive them. You can go to bethbell.me and do the state of the heart assessment, because the heart is really where the juice is. It gets us back to love. It gets us to understand the fears that we have, and we want to be in life with a whole heart. So go to bethbell.me, do the state of the heart assessment. You're going to find that the answers are very specific to how you respond to the questions in the assessment. There's also the Awakening and Healing Handbook, which is just jam-packed with lots of juicy nuggets, lots of tips, tools, techniques, modalities, and recommendations. Now, if you're someone who is looking to take your spiritual ascension journey to another level and you're open to spiritual medicines, there's also the psychedelic resource guide. You or maybe someone you love is interested in exploring or knowing a little bit more about some of the options that are available. I highly recommend the guide. There's always the Herpes Handbook. Now, this one, I know everybody, herpes, but it's a great guide. It's a great guide for so many reasons. And even if you do not have herpes, you may know someone that does. And it's helping people to get over the viruses of the mind. So it goes beyond just herpes. So you should check that out on bethbell.me as well. And every week I'm here on Sundays at 11:11 Pacific time. I love that you're here with me. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to having you again next week at 11:11 Pacific time. Until then, wishing you much bliss and love on the journey. Namaste.